The deepest scars are left by people who never touched you, only felt by what they made you feel. My friends, some things in life you forget. The name of a song, the face you saw on the train, even a conversation you once thought you'd remember forever. But then there are moments, people, energies, that don't just visit your memory, they haunt it, not because of what they did, not because of what they said, but because of the feeling they left behind. A feeling so real, so piercing, that even years later, you can't quite put it into words, but you know it changed you. That's the kind of impact we're about to talk about. Before we go any further, hit that like button and subscribe, because this space right here, it's where we unpack what no one else is brave enough to say out loud. So if you're someone who wants to leave a mark that no text or voice note can explain, this is your arena. Now stay with me. Hey folks, imagine this. You walk into a room, you don't say much. You don't beg for attention. You don't over-explain. But the air shifts, like when a storm's about to roll in. Everything feels just a little more alive. That's what happens when you master your energy. You stop performing and start being. You stop trying to impress and start letting your silence do the talking. Some of you have been trying to chase people who forgot you in 5 minutes while you had the power to become unforgettable without even trying. You just didn't know how. Let's break the lie. The world told you that in order to be remembered, you had to be loud, be perfect, be available, be the most interesting person in the room. That's nonsense. You don't become unforgettable by putting on a show. You become unforgettable by being a feeling, a calm in the middle of their storm, a question they never find the answer to, a mirror that showed them who they really were, even for just one moment. Think of it like this. You can give someone flowers, or you can plant a garden in their mind that blooms long after you've gone. The people who linger in your head, they did something different. They didn't overstay. They left with grace. They didn't chase connection. They embodied it. Their presence was like a book you couldn't finish, but couldn't stop thinking about either. Here's the secret. You don't need to make someone love you. You don't even need to make them remember you. Just make them feel something so deeply, so purely, that even when they try to forget, their soul won't let them. The human brain forgets facts, but the nervous system never forgets an energy that felt safe, or magnetic, or rare. So today, we're not learning how to get someone's attention. We're learning how to leave an imprint, a silent echo, an emotional fingerprint on their heart. Not through manipulation, not through games, but through depth, through power, through presence. We'll talk about how Stoicism, yes, real Stoicism, gives you the tools to leave a mark that they can't explain to anyone, but they feel it every time your name crosses their mind. And by the end of this video, you won't just understand the science of attraction, you'll understand the art of emotional impact. The kind that doesn't fade, the kind that doesn't beg, the kind that stays. Write this in the comments right now. I am the calm they never forget. Say it with power. Say it with purpose. Show the world who you are. Now buckle up, press that like button if you haven't already, and stay with me, because what we're about to unlock will not only change how people see you, it'll change how they feel you. Let's begin. Number 1. Be the calm in their chaos. When you remain calm in chaos, you become the lighthouse in someone else's storm. Let that settle, my friends, because this first truth, it doesn't just hit, it echoes. You want to leave a mark on someone's soul. You want to be the one they think about when silence gets loud and distractions don't work anymore. Then learn this first. You don't need to be their fire. You need to be their calm. Imagine this. They're surrounded by noise, the world screaming for attention, expectations choking them, emotions ricocheting inside like an avalanche of unfinished conversations. Most people in their life either add to that noise or run from it. But then, you show up, not with drama, not with demands, but with silence so solid it feels like a weighted blanket in winter. You don't try to fix them. You don't rush them. You hold space. You become the quiet corner their heart never knew it needed. They don't remember the one who screamed the loudest. They remember the one who didn't need to raise their voice to be heard. But let's be honest, folks, that's not what we were taught. We were told to dazzle, impress, convince, say the right thing, look the right way, keep their attention. So we danced, we chased, we exhausted ourselves trying to be the storm that would shake them awake. And what did it leave us with? Emptiness, confusion, sleepless nights wondering why they still forgot us. Here's why. Chaos doesn't crave more chaos. It craves balance, and the person who can walk into a storm and still breathe slowly, that's the person who leaves a mark no one can erase. Calm is addictive in a world addicted to overstimulation. You might be wondering, but what if they don't notice me if I'm quiet? What if they think I don't care? That's the fear, isn't it? That if you're not loud, you'll be overlooked. But let's break that lie right here and now. Calm is not the absence of energy. It's the presence of control. Think of the ocean, peaceful on the surface, but with a depth that can swallow cities. You don't need to announce your presence when your energy feels like home to a nervous system that's never known peace. And yes, it'll be hard at first, because stillness in the beginning feels like invisibility. You'll wonder if your silence is making you forgettable. You'll feel tempted to rush in, explain yourself, prove your worth, but don't. Stay grounded. Because in your calm, you're doing something most people don't even realize. You're retraining their nervous system. You're becoming a safe place. And trust me, people never forget where they felt safe, even if they don't have the words to explain it. Let's use a metaphor. Imagine they're on a battlefield, worn out, wounded, exhausted from life, and you're not the soldier charging in. You're the campfire after the battle, the warmth, the silence, the stillness that doesn't demand anything in return. That's what makes you unforgettable. You see, folks, in the storm of their mind, most people are screaming to be seen. But the Stoic doesn't scream. He sees. He doesn't interrupt the chaos. He becomes the pause between the thunder. And sometimes that pause is what saves someone from collapsing. Now let's talk about presence. Real presence isn't about being physically there. It's about being energetically unforgettable. You sit with someone and they feel like the world slowed down. You say less, but your energy says everything. You don't react to their chaos. You absorb it. You hold it without losing yourself. And that, my friends, is what shakes them. Because so few people know how to stay solid when someone else is crumbling. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." And when someone meets you, calm, centered, detached from chaos, you change their estimate of what's possible. You give them a new reference point. You become the memory that reminds them, oh, that's what peace felt like. But don't get this twisted. Being calm doesn't mean being passive. It means being intentional. It means knowing that you don't need to control them, because you've already mastered yourself. And self-mastery, that's a rare language only the emotionally fluent understand. Most people feel something when you're around but can't put it into words. That's when you know you've left your imprint. So yes, it will be hard. It will take restraint. It will feel lonely at times when you're not matching their emotional chaos. But your calm is not weakness. It's gravity. And gravity doesn't ask objects to come closer. It pulls them without a word. The next time you want to prove yourself, don't. The next time they try to pull you into their panic, stay rooted. And the next time you feel unseen for being the calm one, remember, They may not understand it now, but one day, when the world feels loud and their heart feels tired, they'll remember you. They'll search for that feeling and realize no one else ever made them feel quite like that. Write this in the comments right now. I am their calm in the chaos. Let it be known. Let it echo. Show yourself. Show the world. Be the calm they crave but can't explain. And stay with me, because what's coming next will show you how to mirror their soul in a way that makes them feel seen in ways they never knew they needed. Number 1. Mirror their soul, not their ego. People don't fall in love with your looks. They fall in love with the way you make them feel seen. My friends, we're about to get into something real, something deep. Because if being calm in their chaos is the anchor, this right here is the reflection. You want to leave a feeling they can't shake. You want to echo in their mind long after the conversations fade. Then learn this. Don't mirror who they pretend to be. Mirror who they are underneath. See, most people walk through life wearing masks, polite smiles, filtered stories, perfect responses, all armor, all ego. And the world responds to that armor, flirts with it, argues with it, compliments it, but no one ever sees through it. And when someone finally does, when someone looks past the performance and recognizes the soul behind the act, that's when the unforgettable happens. Because to feel seen, truly seen, is so rare, it's almost sacred. Imagine this, folks. They've been walking through life like a mirror maze, only ever bumping into distorted versions of themselves. And then you show up, not trying to impress them, not trying to be better than them, just reflecting back their truth. You say the one thing they've never told anyone. You notice the small detail they thought nobody ever caught. And suddenly you're not just another face in the crowd. You're a mirror, a quiet one, but honest. That's what it means to mirror the soul, to see beyond the performance, beyond the ego, and tap into the core of a person. You want to know why that's powerful? Because ego is temporary. It shifts, it postures. But the soul? That doesn't lie. When you connect with someone's soul, you leave fingerprints on the parts of them they didn't even know were visible. But here's where it gets tricky. Most people only mirror what they think will get them approval. They mirror the surface, the right opinions, the jokes, the interests. But that's not real. That's manipulation. That's blending in. And folks, you weren't born to blend. You were born to resonate. This isn't about saying what they want to hear. It's about feeling what they've never been able to say out loud. It's about presence, emotional awareness, listening not just with your ears, but with your attention. You catch the sadness behind their smile, the hesitation in their story, the vulnerability wrapped in a joke, and instead of exposing it, you honor it. Why is that hard? Because it requires you to be emotionally fluent in a world that celebrates emotional ignorance. It requires you to be quiet enough to hear what's not being said, to resist the temptation to turn every moment into a performance. It takes strength to sit in someone's emotional discomfort and not flinch. But that's what makes you different. That's what makes you unforgettable. Let me give you a metaphor. Think of someone as a locked room, beautiful on the outside, guarded on the inside. Everyone else knocks loudly, shakes the door, demands to be let in. But you don't force it. You stand quietly, and you notice the key under the mat. You find the way in without breaking anything. That's what it feels like when someone experiences you mirroring their soul. It doesn't feel like intrusion. It feels like recognition. The Stoic doesn't chase attention. He understands human nature. He studies it. And when you can look someone in the eye and see the part of them they've hidden from the world, you become more than just another person. You become a moment, an imprint, a feeling they never found words for, but never stopped searching for again. There's a quote that says, "The greatest gift you can give someone is to make them feel seen without having to perform." Let that sink in. No one's starving for compliments anymore. They're starving for understanding. They don't want another opinion. They want someone who understands the weight they've been carrying behind their silence. So how do you start doing this? Simple. You listen differently. Not to respond, not to impress, but to understand. You ask questions that go beyond surface. You pay attention to what makes their voice rise and what makes it fall. You sit with their pauses, and you don't rush to fill them. You learn the rhythm of their emotions like a song no one's ever taken the time to memorize. You're not there to fix them. You're there to witness them. And that kind of attention changes people. But be warned, folks, once someone feels truly seen, they don't forget it. You become a moment that keeps showing up in their quietest hours, in the stillness, in the doubt, in the longing, and they'll wonder why your presence lingers long after the others fade. It's because you didn't mirror their ego. You mirrored their essence, their truth. Write this in the comments right now. I see souls, not masks. Let it be a reminder to yourself, to them, to the world around you. And stay with me, because next we're going to unlock one of the most magnetic secrets of all: how to detach, remain present, and still leave an energy that makes them crave your presence even when you're gone. Number 2, detach, but stay mysteriously present. The most powerful presence is often felt in your absence. Let that quote pierce through the noise for a second, my friends, because what we're about to explore isn't about being wanted for a moment. It's about being missed without understanding why. It's about becoming the kind of energy that's hard to grasp, yet impossible to forget. That's what happens when you master the art of detachment with presence. Now, I know that might sound like a paradox. How can someone be detached, yet still present? Isn't detachment cold? Isn't it about distance? That's what they've told you, that if you detach, people will lose interest, that you have to stay available, responsive, involved, or they'll forget you. But here's the truth they never told you. What people chase most is what they can't quite hold. Imagine this. You walk into a room and you don't demand attention, but something about you makes people pause. You're calm, collected, present, but not grasping. You don't need to prove anything. You're there, fully there, but your energy doesn't say, "Stay with me." It says, "I'm whole either way." And that is what leaves them craving more. Think of it like fire. If you touch it, it burns. If you get too close, it overwhelms. But from a distance, it pulls you in. It lights up the space without asking for anything. It demands respect without saying a word. That's what mysterious presence looks like. It's warmth without desperation. It's presence without performance. And when you combine that with detachment, you become unforgettable, because people aren't used to that kind of emotional gravity. But here's the fear that starts whispering when you try to pull back. What if they forget me? What if they find someone else? What if my silence is mistaken for indifference? These thoughts, they're normal. That's your attachment talking, the part of you that still believes proximity equals value. But you have to rise above that, because detachment doesn't mean disappearing. It means not clinging. It means not needing constant reassurance to feel seen. It means showing up from a place of wholeness, not hunger. Let's break the lie. They taught you to stay available to prove your worth. They made you believe that the more someone hears from you, the more they'll value you. But the truth is, overexposure breeds blindness. The more accessible you are, the easier it is to take you for granted. But when you create space, not out of manipulation, but out of grounded self-respect, something happens. people start to notice what they lost access to. They start to feel your absence, and that feeling, it sticks. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't about playing games. This isn't ghosting. This isn't coldness. It's depth. It's restraint. It's emotional maturity. You're not running away. You're just not chasing. You're not begging for a seat at anyone's table. You've built your own, and if they want to sit with you, they're welcome. But you're not going to trade your peace just to prove a point. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." The Stoic doesn't move from insecurity. He moves from alignment. And that's where this presence comes from, alignment with who you are, not who you're trying to impress. Imagine someone thinking about you late at night. Not because you messaged them 100 times, not because you posted something meant for their attention, but because your absence feels like silence after music. It lingers, it stings, and it speaks volumes. That's the energy you want to carry. The kind that doesn't ask, "Do you remember me?" but instead whispers, "You'll never forget me." But to get there, you need to do something brave. Stop filling the space. Don't rush to text back. Don't try to explain yourself when they don't understand your silence. Let the mystery breathe. Let the tension do its work. People don't miss what never leaves, but they ache for what felt deep, and then stepped away with dignity. Let's be real, detachment is difficult, especially when emotions run deep. But remember this, your depth is not a burden. Your silence is not empty, it's full of weight. And when you learn to carry that weight without placing it in someone else's hands, that's when you become powerful. A Buddhist teaching says, attachment is the origin, the root of suffering. Hence, it is the cause of suffering. And when you detach, not because you're trying to punish someone, but because you respect your own energy, you break that cycle. You stop suffering for the sake of staying visible, and instead, you rise. Let me say it this way, be like the moon. You don't see it every night, but you feel it. It controls tides, it changes moods, it influences without ever speaking. That's the power of mysterious presence. You don't need to be loud. You need to be aligned. Write this in the comments right now. I am present, not attached. Let it be your reminder, your rhythm, your revolution. Because when you learn this art, the art of detachment with presence, you become the feeling they can't name, but never stop searching for. And stay with me, because next we dive into something even deeper, how to become the pause they crave in a world that never slows down. Number 3, be their pause in a world that rushes. The world moves fast, but the soul doesn't rush. It waits for what feels safe. Slow that down and feel it, because in a world that glorifies speed, performance, and constant availability, there's something so rare, so quietly powerful, that it almost feels holy, the one who slows everything down. My friends, if you truly want to leave a mark that lingers, become the pause they never saw coming but always needed. Picture this. Their whole life is noise, notifications, schedules, expectations, endless chatter, both around them and inside their own mind. Most people they meet add to that noise, asking for more, pulling on their energy, needing answers, giving opinions, filling every silence with more distractions. But then, you walk in, and you don't rush anything. You don't press for attention. You don't try to impress. You bring something they forgot existed, stillness. You become the breath between the beats. The moment where time seems to stretch and say, you can just be here. You want to leave an unforgettable feeling, slow them down. Let them feel present around you, not analyzed, not judged, not expected to perform, just present, because that pause, that gap in the chaos, becomes their emotional safe house. And long after you leave, they'll crave that calm again, They won't be able to describe it, but they'll search for it in other people and come up empty. Because that wasn't just your presence, that was your energy. That was your refusal to rush what matters. But here's the fear that creeps in, right? What if they lose interest if I don't move fast? What if they think I'm not invested? That's the pressure society wired into you. Move fast, show interest, text back immediately, say everything now, or risk losing them. But here's the truth most never figure out. Emotional depth doesn't move at the speed of urgency. It moves at the pace of safety, of resonance, of realness. And when you move from your center, not your fear, you stop chasing and start magnetizing. Let me give you a metaphor. Life for most people is like sprinting on a treadmill they can't stop. Everyone's running, panting, trying to keep up, and no one's asking if they're even running in the right direction. But you're like a quiet bench in the middle of the storm. You're the space that says, you don't have to keep performing. Sit here. Breathe. I'm not going anywhere. And I don't need you to be anyone else. That kind of presence doesn't just feel good, it feels safe. And safety, my friends, is the most addictive energy on earth. Because people can find excitement anywhere, but safety, peace, grounded presence, that's rare. And rare becomes unforgettable. The Stoics knew this. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Why? Because we live in constant anticipation, constant worry, constant doing, and that's why the one who knows how to just be becomes medicine. You become the proof that there's another way to live, another way to feel, a different rhythm, one that doesn't demand but invites. But yes, this takes strength, because it's easier to rush. It's easier to fill the silence with noise, to check your phone, to send another text, to push the moment forward. Stillness feels vulnerable at first, like maybe you're not doing enough, like maybe you're being forgotten, but stillness is not absence. It's intensity under control. It's emotional composure. It's saying, I don't need to force a connection because I trust what's real. And here's the beautiful irony. When you don't rush someone, they feel seen, they feel respected, because you're not trying to extract something from them. You're giving them room to unfold, to reveal, to exhale. And that's where true connection begins, in the spaces between words. Think about the last time someone gave you their full attention without pushing for anything. No expectations, no pressure, just presence. That moment probably stuck with you. Maybe it even changed you. That's the power you hold when you become someone's pause. Let's break another lie. Fast doesn't mean strong. Intense doesn't mean deep. If someone truly values what they feel with you, they won't need you to rush it. They'll want to breathe it in. They'll want to savor it. And if they don't, if they're only there for instant gratification, then your calm will bore them. And that's okay, because you weren't made to entertain, you were made to transform. So start owning your pace. Let the world rush by while you stay still, and watch how they keep looking back, wondering why they can't shake the feeling they had when they were near you. Write this in the comments right now. I am their pause in the chaos. Say it and feel it. You're not here to match the rush. You're here to interrupt it, to slow down the spinning, to become the moment of clarity they didn't know they were starving for. And stay with me, because next we're going deeper into the hidden language of attraction, where we'll uncover how to speak to the parts of them that no one else ever sees. Number 4, speak to the unseen parts of them. The deepest connection doesn't come from being heard. It comes from being understood without ever asking. My friends, listen closely, because if you truly want to leave behind a feeling they can't explain but never forget, this is where the magic happens. You see, most people are used to being noticed for what's loud about them, their looks, their confidence, their opinions, but what they secretly ache for is to be seen in the quiet, in the shadows, in the places they hide from the world, sometimes even from themselves. You want to become unforgettable? Speak to those parts. Not the ego, not the surface, but the small things, the overlooked things, the things they thought no one ever saw. Imagine this: they're telling a story, smiling, laughing, brushing past the details, and while everyone else is focused on the punchline, you notice the pause, the way their voice drops, the way their eyes shift when they talk about that one part they pretended didn't matter, and instead of skipping over it, you stop there. You see it. You gently say something like, "That moment sounded heavier than you let on," and suddenly the room shifts, because they realize you're not like the others. You didn't just hear them, you felt them. That's what it means to speak to the unseen. It's not about dramatic declarations. It's about subtle recognition. It's about catching what others miss. And when you do that, when you reflect back a truth they've buried, you become unforgettable. Because no one forgets the person who saw what they didn't say. But this is where most people mess it up. They try too hard. They dig too deep too soon. They push, thinking depth comes from intensity. But real connection, it doesn't need a sledgehammer. It needs awareness, timing, sensitivity. You don't need to pry, you need to notice, and then let your energy say, "It's safe here." Let me give you a metaphor. Think of them as a locked diary. Most people either ignore it or try to break it open. But you don't force it. You sit beside it. You respect its silence. And eventually, when the moment is right, it opens on its own. And what's inside? It's not chaos. It's not darkness. It's just truth that's been waiting for someone gentle enough to handle it. And that's the energy you carry. Gentle, grounded, observant, not needing to be impressive, just present enough to catch the smallest cues, the shift in tone, the half smile, the hesitation between words. Because those moments, that's where people are most themselves. But let's be real, this takes emotional maturity. It takes self-control. Because when you start noticing these things, part of you might want to fix them, to offer solutions, to be the savior. But that's not your role. Your role is to be the mirror, to reflect their truth without distortion, to say, "I see this part of you, and I'm not running." And yes, it'll feel risky. You might wonder, what if they shut down? What if they're not ready to go there? That's okay. This isn't about forcing connection. It's about offering safety. And when someone feels safe around you, when they feel like they can exhale, like they don't have to perform, that becomes addictive. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And when someone is with you, someone who speaks to their unseen, their soul starts to shift. They start thinking, maybe I don't have to hide that part of me anymore. That is impact. That is influence. That is intimacy without ever touching. Let me tell you something else. People remember the compliment that was specific, not "you're beautiful," not "you're smart," but something like, "I noticed how you always pause before answering, like you're really thinking through what you say." That hits different, because that's not flattery, that's recognition, that's "I see you," not your mask. And the truth is, most people are walking around emotionally malnourished, starving for someone to ask, "How's your heart?" Not just, "How was your day?" They want someone who doesn't just tolerate their depth, but welcomes it. And when you become that person, that steady, open mirror, you leave a feeling they carry with them in silence. A warmth, a grounding, a sense of being witnessed. But don't expect them to say it out loud. Some people don't have the language for what you made them feel, Some people will just go quiet after being around you, not because you said the wrong thing, but because they're processing the rare experience of being seen. That's silence, that's your confirmation, that's impact. So speak to what's hidden, gently, patiently, without trying to own it. Just let them know. I see that part of you too, and it's safe here. Write this in the comments right now. I speak to what's unseen. Say it with your chest. Let it echo in you. Show the world that you're not here for small talk. You're here for soul talk. And stay with me, because next we're stepping into something even more magnetic, the posture of power. How to carry yourself like you know your worth without saying a single word. Number 5. Carry yourself like you know your worth. You teach people how to treat you by the way you carry yourself when they're watching, and especially when they're not. That's not just a quote, my friends. That's a quiet law of life. Because in a world where everyone's chasing validation, running after attention, trying to prove they're enough, the one who moves like he knows his value without saying a word becomes unforgettable, not because he shouted it, but because he embodied it. Let's break this down. You want to leave a feeling they can't describe but never forget. Then stop announcing your worth and start walking like it's already known. This isn't arrogance. It's not about being above anyone. It's about knowing you never needed to convince anyone in the first place. True presence isn't loud. It's anchored. You don't chase the room. The room notices you. And not because of the clothes, the words, or the charm, but because your energy tells a different story. Imagine walking through a crowd. Everyone else is rushing, fumbling, trying to be seen. But you're steady, you're grounded, you're not in a hurry to impress, you're not fighting to belong. You're already whole. You don't need to scream, "See me," because your silence already has weight. You walk like someone who knows they don't need the spotlight to shine. Let me give you a metaphor. Picture a lion. It doesn't roar for attention. It doesn't need to prove its strength. It walks with ease because its power is known. The jungle adjusts to its presence, not because it asked, but because it moves differently. That's the kind of energy you need to embody, not because you're trying to be intimidating, but because you're rooted, you're clear, you're unshakable. But here's the truth. This kind of self-carrying doesn't come from pretending. It comes from healing, from letting go of the belief that you have to earn someone's approval to be worthy of love. It comes from detaching from the outcome, from knowing deep down, if you stay, I'm whole. If you leave, I'm still whole. That's not indifference. That's emotional strength. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you rare. Now I know some of you are thinking, but what if they don't see my value unless I show it? What if I fade into the background? That's the fear talking. That's the lie the world sold you, that worth needs to be proven. But listen carefully. When you embody your worth, it speaks for you. It shows up in how you say no, how you walk away, how you pause before you speak, how you don't react to disrespect. Your calm screams louder than any rant ever could. The Stoics taught us that true power is self-contained. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do." When you begin living from that place, where your sense of worth is no longer at the mercy of external opinion, you become magnetic. You stop needing to explain yourself, and people start wondering, who is this person that doesn't bend to be liked? Let me be honest with you. People will test you. They'll ignore you to see if you'll chase. They'll criticize you to see if you'll crumble. But when you stand tall, not with ego, but with dignity, you become the mirror they didn't expect, the kind that silently reflects back their own insecurity. That's why some people will be drawn to your energy, and others will be intimidated by it. But either way, they'll feel it, and they won't forget it. Think about someone you've never been able to shake, someone whose presence stuck with you long after they left. Was it because they tried too hard? Or was it because they moved with quiet certainty? Because they looked you in the eye like they had nothing to prove? That's what leaves the real imprint, not the effort, but the embodiment. You want to be the person they remember when they're alone with their thoughts? Then carry yourself like your worth was never up for negotiation. Don't explain your standards. Live them. Don't beg for space. Be the space. Don't fight for their love. Be so grounded in your own that anything else becomes a bonus. Write this in the comments right now. I walk in my worth. Not tomorrow. Not when they validate you. Now let it be your vow, your declaration, your silent thunder. And if this message hit your soul, if you've been walking through life trying to be seen, trying to be enough, trying to hold people who didn't recognize your value, this is your wake-up call. You don't need to convince anyone. You only need to remember who you are. So share this with someone who needs to stop shrinking. Hit that like button if you're done begging for breadcrumbs, and subscribe, because this journey of becoming unforgettable, it's just getting started. Carry yourself like the energy that changes rooms without asking permission. Because when you walk in your worth, you don't leave footprints, you leave echoes.